So why is work so hard? Why all the financial stress? Why this kind of crippling burden that men feel to provide and provide food and provide money and provide structure to their lives? Well, why does it have to be this way? So many men respond to that pressure with, I would call it an avoidant attachment disorder, going, that's not for me. And they maintain this like half in, half out, slothful orientation to their work, where they scrape away, doing the bare minimum, checking the boxes, but they're not ever really working hard. They maybe get tired, but they don't feel like they've spent their battery. They come home from work and they've just kind of gone through the motions, and it's kind of this malaised, depression-like state of meh. I guess I worked today, but they're not really pouring themselves into what's going on, partially because it's hard, partially because it's difficult, and you find yourself scrolling meaninglessly when you should be producing. You find yourself engaging in office chatter instead of pushing the ball forward. You find yourself analyzing the marketplace instead of being in the marketplace. And I think a lot of that comes from, virtually all of it comes from Genesis chapter 3, that when sin comes into the world, part of the consequence is that God tells Adam, by the sweat of your brow will now food come forth from the ground. Thorns and thistles will grow up next to your fruit. So what we see here is that while work itself is a blessing, work is also cursed. Work is not a curse. Work is cursed. It is difficult. It is hard. And the temptation to laziness, apathy, withdrawal, lean out is all over the place. The Proverbs warn about not working hard enough as a recipe for poverty. This refusal to do the hard thing, to delay the gratification, to plow, to reap, to sow, to harvest. Hands out. And so many Christians will do this, where they'll go like, well, the Lord will provide, and then they are lazy. But the main means that God uses is he partners with humans to do his work. The main way God will provide for you is by helping you work, by giving you skills, by giving you talent that you can deploy to add value to the world, to subdue and have dominion, and to be compensated for it either through a W-2 or through entrepreneurship. And the temptation to slothfulness, right? So we think about when God brought his people out of slavery and he gives them this command, 6 days you shall work, 1 day you shall rest. They're like, a day of rest. Praise the Lord, because they've been slaves working 7 days a week forever, hundreds of years. And then God commands 1 day of rest. Whereas now in American culture, it's more and more drifting towards 3.5 days you shall work and 3.5 days you shall rest. And even when you work, it's a 6-hour day, and it's not, and very few people do real back-breaking all-in work physically. And even in the technological sector, there's very little people who are actually pushing the ball forward as hard as they can. The ones that I do know that are doing that are reaping what they sow, and they're doing well, and they're radical blessings, able to be generous in so many spheres, and the others that aren't are just kind of chipping along. And so being a hard worker, I think, is one of the most attractive things that a woman can see in a man who's going, by the sweat of his brow he is providing, and he's willing to sweat to make food come out of the earth, metaphorically. It helps a woman feel safe. It helps a wife feel cared for. It helps kids feel protected. And so sometimes we think, I'm working so hard, maybe this isn't right for me. But in reality, we're working so hard sometimes as evidence that it is right for you. You know, when you're doing a physical exercise and you get sharp pain, you go, well, maybe I should move my elbow or do it different. Maybe I should, but nobody says you shouldn't exercise at all. There may be techniques that you can switch or careers you can flip. But if work is really hard, that's not because something's wrong with you or something's wrong with your work. That's because we live in a Genesis 3 world. And you should expect to sweat, literally or metaphorically, to bring food from the earth. We are not entitled to food and money, as much as American culture wants us to believe that we are. We are not. And back in the day, if you didn't work, you died from starvation because your farm didn't. But now, if you don't work, guess what? The government will take care of you and you'll be fine. We won't let you starve. There's a safety net. And on the one hand, that's nice. On the other hand, it means that it's safer to be lazy than ever in world history. And I don't want that to be true of me. I don't want that to be true of you. We want to be people who embrace the results of the curse and labor against it. And by the sweat and the effort and the exertion, we make something that's valuable and we contribute it to the world and we provide for our families because of that.